This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug Dipierro show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. You know, I don't want to preempt The Rock because she'll be on next week as well with her on this day in history stuff. But I just want to talk a little bit about July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. We're about to have the 250th. On that day, July 4th, 1826, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died. They both died on the 50th anniversary of signing the Declaration, and they were the 2 remaining living signatories of that document. Adams' last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still lives," but Jefferson didn't. He died earlier that day.
Wow.
And the country decided that was a divinely inspired moment, that God had sent that as a message about this, and heavily influenced America. But when you think about it,
on the 4th of July.
On the 4th of July,
wow.
Thomas Jefferson and John Adams both died on that day. Adams was about 92, Jefferson was about 86.
Well, you told me about this.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Incredible. Now, in Congress right now, Trump is trying to get the SAVE Act passed, SAVE. And the SAVE Act provides, as I guess you know, that everybody has to have a photo ID in order to register to vote. They have to do it in person. They can't do it by mail. And that when they actually do vote, they have to have a photo ID with them to prove that they're who they are. And that has passed the House a long time ago and has been pending in the Senate. And the reason it can't pass the Senate is because of the filibuster. And the Democrats will not vote for it. They vote against it all the time. There's some BS about how this will discourage people from voting. It'll set up people can't find ID. And it's absolute nonsense. Most states are offering free photo ID to everybody. And you need a photo ID to function in the world today. The only reason they won't pass it is they want to commit fraud. And this will stop that. So it's just very, very clear. But still, the filibuster will continue. Now, there are 4 Republican senators who are saying we're for the bill, but we're against stopping the filibuster. And the reason they want to stop, they vote against stopping the filibuster is because they're afraid that when the Republicans lose control of the Senate in one of the biannual elections, that they will be unable to stop the Democrats from doing horrible things like packing the Supreme Court, letting in extra states, Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., which will pack the Senate. And that they are really worried about what the Democrats will do.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, I think we have to keep winning the Senate, and I think we will. And I don't think you can. I don't think if you don't pass this, the Democrats will change one bit. If they get power, they'll do what they want.
Anyway,
there's nothing we can do to appease that. There's no deal involved. It's just a hope. So Trump needs to pass the SAVE Act. It's very important. And needs to break the filibuster. Now, he's got a couple of ways of breaking the filibuster. The easiest way is that he forces the Democrats to talk during the filibuster. In the past, senators always spoke during filibusters, and you had relays, and the senator would stand up for 7 or 8 hours and speak, and then he would go to the bathroom and somebody else would speak, and they would pet like a baton race.
But he walked to the restroom to go to the bathroom, right?
And the Southern Democrats kept that up for 2 months to kill the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Mm-hmm. And they had cots in the Senate caucus room, and people would sleep there, and the good guys had to sleep there because there were quorum calls, and the bad guys
quorum calls?
Quorum calls. There had to be a majority, If they weren't, they'd go out of session and the filibuster would be over. You had to keep the floor 24/7. You had to talk.
Wow.
And you could say anything. People read the phone book.
No.
They did. They literally read the phone book. And it went
The Bible?
on.
Did anyone read the Bible?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that went on for like 2 months until the liberals finally broke the filibuster. The Republicans gave them enough votes to break it. Well, in about 10 years ago, Congress said, the hell with this. Let's have a filibuster when the leadership says there's a filibuster. Nobody has to talk. Nobody has to debate. You don't have to keep the floor. The leadership will say, we're now in a filibuster situation.
And what does that mean? They could go home?
They could just go home. They could do whatever they wanted.
Just can't.
And what
vote.
Trump could do is bring
Does that
it
mean
back.
there's going to be no vote?
Yeah,
We're in a filibuster, so that's it.
that's right.
It's a pause or
So one of the things Trump is considering doing is getting a majority of the Senate to vote, which he could, for a talking filibuster, and say you can't just declare a filibuster. You have to do the old days.
You got to pay the price.
Stand up. You have to read the phone book, and we'll weigh you down. And that's useful because everybody knows the SAVE Act is important. Everybody knows it's a good idea. 80% support photo ID. And if the Democrats keep the floor talking about how bad photo ID is, every day their ratings are going to drop. People are going to look at them and say, they're crazy. We're not going to vote for the Democrats.
Interesting.
So that's an interesting strategy Trump is considering. The second strategy he's considering is there is a rule that was adopted 10 years ago by Senator Richard Byrd of Virginia, West Virginia. And he said we need to cut the deficit.
Is it Richard Byrd or Robert? Robert Byrd.
I think it's Richard, but I don't know.
I gotta look.
Anyway, the deal was that that he said we need to be able to function as a Senate. We can't just not function and have this huge deficit, this huge federal debt. So he said if the debate concerns cutting the deficit or reducing the debt, you have to eliminate the filibuster and you have to be able to pass
Robert Byrd. Yeah.
With a simple majority vote. And that was passed. That became a requirement. Now, that could easily be changed by an act of the Senate. It's a majority that does that. But it is the current law. So what Trump did in the two bills that he's passed that avoided the Democratic filibuster, the big, beautiful bill and then the other tax cut bill that's going through now, is he said, I'm going to do this through reconciliation, which means that it falls under the Byrd rule. And it's to deal with the deficit or deal with the debt. And therefore I can't have a filibuster on it. But there's a parliamentarian appointed by the Senate, by a majority of the Senate, who decides whether it falls within the Byrd rule or not. And she ruled both times that this was okay. There couldn't be a filibuster. Now Trump is saying, let me bring in the SAVE Act under the same way, so there would be no filibuster. And the parliamentarian is saying, no, we're not going to do that. Elizabeth McDonough, I think is her name. And she said, no, this is not a fiscal bill. You can't do it that way. So Trump is looking at two strategies to deal with it. One is to get her fired, which he's urged Thune to do.
And how does that happen? Who hires fires?
Thune, the majority leader. And he can fire her anytime he wants. And Trump is pressing him to do that.
I need to ask you this. I got to jump in. I'm sorry. Don't you think this parliamentarian should be three people, an odd number, so there's a vote? It's
a pain in the neck. It shouldn't exist anyway.
That's kind of weird.
But it exists, and Thune should fire this lady. But if she doesn't fire her, and we still have to live with the Byrd rule, which we should not have to. Trump said, okay, we'll include a program here where we'll pay the blue states an incentive money to enforce the photo ID law, allegedly because we're paying for extra clerks and extra staff and extra polling places. And we'll make this a fiscal bill, and that way it'll qualify for the Byrd rule. And nobody knows how the parliamentarian will rule on that. So that's the current situation. Trump has three ways of dealing with passing the SAVE Act. One is to have a talking filibuster and wear the Democrats down. And there's some point it would be lovely to have America listening 24/7 to the Democrats explain why photo ID is a bad idea when 80% of the country supports it.
It's 80%?
80.
course.
The second way is to get rid of the parliamentarian and pass it under reconciliation. The third way is to include this incentive spending provision to incentivize blue states and make this a fiscal bill and pass it. But one way or another, it's going to get passed.
Unbelievable.